All right, there you have it. Fun roundtable, interesting insights and takes from some of the top college football coaches in America, period. And, there's a couple things that stood out to me. One, and one of them actually wasn't even from Big 12 Media Days. It's actually from Kirby Smart and SEC, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I think there was a statement that was said about the parity in the league. And there's part of me that says, and I agree with it, that it's competitive. And so competitive means good-spirited games. You're always in it. Teams are going to be in the conference conversation for a good part of the season. Most of the teams will be, just because of the competitive balance. And you really do have to spin it the right way. And that was the thing that really jumped out at me, was you can because people will say, well, yeah, it's competitive. You're just a bunch of average teams. And so that's not very good. Right. And other people say, hey, that makes us better as a league across the board, because someone said the other leagues are top heavy. And oh boy, is that so true. Yes, there is a difference between the top teams in the SEC and the Big Ten, than probably most of the teams in the Big 12. But aside from a few teams, then no, it's pretty on par, and probably maybe even subpar in some degrees. I don't think there's a lot of schools like the Purdue's and the Indianas and the Illinois and you could say the Nebraskas, Wisconsin, rears its head every once in a while, but most of the time they're not like, oh yeah, we're going to win in the conference. They're secondary citizens, and in the Big 12, you're not necessarily getting this. Now it's all new; it's a new conference. No one's really established itself as that consistent winner. But I just like the idea, and I think Brett Yormark is such a good promoter. That's what they really need to promote in this conference. We are top to bottom the most competitive conference in the country, the conference you want to tune into pretty much every game, every week, all season long, and really, really lean into this. And I don't think people do. They just kind of go, well, the Big 12 is like the third or fourth best conference in the country. And that's not necessarily true. I mean, if you're just talking about the top couple of teams, fine. But top to bottom in the conference, if you really want to watch college football, man, tune into the Big 12. Now, Kirby Smart, he brought up a comment that I found rather interesting. And that was, why in the world would we play 9 conference games? And he goes, that's just 9 more losses for our conference. And the whole point of this is, like, you shouldn't get into the college football playoffs because you play a weak schedule. Like, it's the most lame, uncompetitive, wimpiest comment I think I've ever heard from a coach. Now, we don't want to play competitive games, because if we play competitive games in our conference, that means we're not going to get more teams in the playoffs. And it's like, well, yeah, you get more teams in the conference if they win. Like, that's the whole freaking point of this, is that you want the teams that win to get into the playoffs. Huh? It's like, no, we just need to have Georgia and Alabama always in the college football playoffs. That's what they really want, regardless. Like, they can't accept that Alabama had 3 losses last year. Big freaking deal. They had an off year. Get better next year, like everybody else. No. We got to play less games. Oh, no. We don't want to be competitive. We just want it handed to us. It's lame. Let's be honest. Like, when I saw this today, I'm just like, give me a freaking break.
Well, and by the way, Scott, 9-3 season is great for a lot of programs. So if that's your worst year, of course, keep your standard. Like, don't be celebrating that you only won 9 games if you're Alabama and you want to go undefeated and win national championships every year. But, like, don't get too down about it either. Like, that, if that's your floor, then you got a pretty good program still.
I think so. Anyways, it's just, look, the teams that should get in the college football playoffs are the teams that win the most during the season. And if everyone will play their best games you're going to have that. And you know what? You might have an SEC team or two or Big Ten with 3 losses. And you know what? If they played a 9-game schedule and they did that, or a regular, conference schedule, man, I'd be all over it. And if their non-conference was actually competitive, I'd be all over it. Well, I'm going to be all over a break. Let's take a break right now. The Sean O'Connell Show is now brought to you proudly by Big Willie's Sports Bar in Salt Lake. From craft food to craft cocktails, they are the sports bar. Check them out today. All right, when we come back, Sam Brookhouse, Sumer Sports NFL analyst. He's fun to talk to. The numbers are just fun. As I like to get into numbers with Sam. NFL is right around the corner. We'll chat about some of the big deals, some of the big things happening in the NFL when we return here on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean. He is in South Africa, Cape Town to be exact, doing a little PFL. So glad to be a part of your day. Glad to help Sean out. We are Utah's number one sports talk, if you wanted to know that. If you didn't know, we are. We love to talk about sports. We love to talk about all sports, but we really, really, really love to talk about football because football is life. And we have Sam Bruckhaus from Sumer Sports joining us. He's an NFL data analyst. Sam, welcome to the program. What are the numbers telling us today?
Man, thank you for queuing me in as an NFL data analyst. But I got to say, I'm itching for football just like you are. And I got some Utah football circles because I'm so interested in how Devin Dampier, who is one of the best sack-avoidant quarterbacks in the NCAA, if not in the history of college football.
Wow.
Dude does not get sacked.
Wow.
He's going to do behind the two tackles, Fanu and Lomu, guys that are first-round players, at least as it's slated now. We haven't seen a combination like that, particularly with a player who's transferring up in a long time. I think there's going to be a lot of designed runs involved, and I'm excited to see what this Utah offense is going to look like. So jumping the gun a little bit on the NFL, but I'm ready for some football, and college football is coming first. So I'm looking at that.
All right. Well, we can certainly talk. We can talk about it all, but you actually gave me chills. Like literally the hair just stood up on the back of my neck when you mentioned Devin Dampier is the least sacked quarterback maybe ever, which is a great statement. And watching him, I watched a lot of him in spring football, and there's a lot to like. You really, and he's done it, right? So this isn't a guy who, maybe there's a lot of potential, but folks are really high on him. They're high on him at the Big 12 Media Day. I mean, they named him newcomer of the year. Where do you think this Utah football team will end up? Because quarterback position's been a tough one, and I guess what I'm having a hard time with, Sam, I'm having a hard time eloquating my thoughts here. The quarterback position has just killed Utah the last couple of years. We've had our hearts broken, and when we hear this about Devin Dampier, can we have, cause for lots of hope and an opportunity to compete for a championship?
So I think you got to look at the situation first in the Big 12, where there's a toss-up and there's a lot of good teams, and moreover, there's a lot of teams with a lot of turnover. You look at a team like Colorado losing their two best players, but bringing in a Caden Salter and a bunch of young players as well. They could be a contender as they were last year. You look at, the bigger teams that had a mark last year, Arizona State, BYU, they're all going to play. I think the big difference from last year in terms of Utah's status is basically exactly what you just said, a lack of heartbreak when it comes to the quarterback position. Devin Dampier will not give up negative plays. Will he be the best passer of all time? We don't necessarily have the data to make a decision on that.
I have the data for that, Sam. I'm the best passer of all time, just so you know. We'll just leave it at that. I'm just kidding. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
I love it. The confidence is great, and hopefully we can have that level of confidence in Utah now that they have someone at the quarterback position who's not going to negatively affect the team as they did last year, rolling through multiple guys. I think the difference is going to be physicality. I think the difference is going to be winning up front, much like many of the NFL teams that are very successful do, and as we've seen powerhouses do time and time again. And I think if they're able to maintain the level of consistency that Dampier seems to bring, as well as the defensive success and the success up front that they've had in previous years, they will definitely be contending with the Iowa States and with the Arizona States and the other groups that could be interesting. Another, if you're saying you're a little biased as the best passer of all time, then I'm going to be a little biased towards my head coach in college, Willie Fritz. Keep an eye out on Houston.
Ooh.
Willie Fritz has been able to turn these teams over extremely quickly. He did it with us at Tulane, where all of a sudden one of the worst programs in the history of college football is going to 3 straight bowl games and then winning a Cotton Bowl after that. I suspect that the tides will start turning quicker given the transfer portal. Even next year, he has a top 10 recruit coming in. I wouldn't be shocked if Houston is ahead of schedule this year and gets into the 7 or 8 game win territory. That could spell a little bit of weirdness for Utah as well. I got some of those games circled. But the Big 12 is a toss-up, but I think Utah probably has the most power and the most experience out of all the teams, except for maybe Arizona State and Iowa State.
So it's interesting you mentioned Houston, and someone had asked me, I think of the teams that were near the bottom a year ago, which one do you think will have the biggest movement? And I think Houston was one of the teams, but I agree with you. Utah played Houston last year. Very impressed with a lot of things they were doing. They weren't far a year ago. They were very close, very athletic, played really, really good defense. And I think they're one of those sleeper teams that you go, not a lot of people paying attention to them, and I totally agree with that, which is interesting. So I like your thought process. So, as we talked about Devin Dampier and how he's a newcomer, and there's a lot of buzz about him and a lot of excitement. What kind of analytics do you guys run on like the success of guys changing from one program to another? So I think of some guys like Dylan Gabriel did a really good job at Oregon, and you think of Michael Penix and, of course, Bo Nix a few years ago, Will Howard, Cam Ward, who won the Heisman Trophy, and he was a transfer guy. But there's also a lot of guys that don't, and I'm just curious, where do the analytics fall on the what I guess anticipated success you can expect from a transfer, and maybe you can talk about just transfers in general and maybe specifically quarterbacks.
So there's a couple items in there. The first is the transfer portal itself. And given that, it's only been 4 or 5 years that the transfer portal has been extremely relevant, basically in the post-COVID era, we really have a limited subset of data. And when it comes to football, it's a small sample set anyway. And so we can't, necessarily parse out exactly what to expect. But here's a couple of items that I think are very interesting. The first is, number one, as you mentioned, that long list of guys that have transferred and seen success, the quarterback position is the most important, and people typically do carry a few things over. Luckily for Utah fans, sack avoidance is one of those things that carries over not only from college to college, but from college to pro and from pro team to pro team. Sacks are a quarterback stat. The offensive line can protect, they can do everything, but if the quarterback's going to hold on to the ball or the quarterback's going to scramble, and you probably know this very well, you're going to get hit. And so as a result, we see things like pressure to sack ratios, pressure rates, sack rates be amongst the most stable statistics. Me and Lindsey Rhodes on our podcast, the Super Sports Show, did a discussion about this over the summer with regards to the NFL in particular, but it holds in college as well. So as we've been talking about, expect Devin Dampier to not take negative plays. Also, in terms of the running game, it's a little bit more variable. So that running attack, even though Jason Beck is also coming from New Mexico at the offensive coordinator position, I think it's a little bit going to be more dependent on Jason Beck to get that rushing game going with Devin Dampier around it, more so than Dampier himself. Obviously, an improved offensive line is very interesting, but he's going to be an interesting test case when it comes to moving from a school like New Mexico, who is not playing the best talent, right, into a program like Utah, who is playing some high-level Big 12 talent. If you want an example of a success story of this, go look at Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt. I'd expect a similar kind of ascendance for Dampier, probably on a substantially better team playing more comparable talent than that Vandy team was playing SEC talent. And I think that's the type of success we can probably expect to see from Devin Dampier.
Yeah, it's a real fascinating dynamic, that happens in college football, because I just think of a few years ago before Cam Rising was playing, they had Charlie Brewer, who came from Baylor, Charlie Brewer was phenomenal at Baylor. And watching him through spring ball, you're like, wow, this kid can make every throw. He's a guy that's very accomplished. And we got kind of fooled in that one because for whatever reason, it didn't translate to Utah. And so I've just been curious because then Cam Rising comes in and it's almost immediate. He just has success. He was technically a transfer from Texas. He of course he sat out a year. That was back when you had to do things like that. And but he was so successful. It's been a fascinating thing for me. Where do you find the guy? How do you know if he's going to pan out for you when you bring him in? And kind of how soon? I think when you look at the Big 12, you see Texas Tech made a big push in the transfer portal and NIL players and talent. Do you have any information about that? Like just on teams, like, I know Colorado a few years ago, I mean, they overhauled almost their entire team and they really only got to be an average team in the Big 12. I mean, there was a lot of hype. They had a Heisman Trophy winner, but as far as wins and losses, they certainly weren't competing for a championship. How soon or how do you predict or how can you analyze when you have big turnovers with your team in the transfer portal?
So I think there's a couple different examples of this, but let's talk about at the position group level, because that's where we can really kind of suspect how things are going to go. At the offensive line position, it's going to be very, very difficult to maintain through the transfer portal. And obviously that's not going to be a problem with Utah football,
right?
Given that they have some studs up front that are coming back. But that's very difficult to build through the transfer portal, much as it is, particularly at the tackle position, in free agency in the NFL. And a lot of these things actually mirror to the NFL. The places where they don't is you're able to get that skill level talent, that quarterback talent, that running back talent through the transfer portal because you have guys jumping up. And for example, there was one of the best running backs last year was out of UL Monroe. I suspect he will also have a good year given that he transferred up. And so there's those kind of items. Another thing you want to look at is typically the star system does work pretty well when it comes to evaluating these players out of high school, and maybe just the opportunity isn't there. So a team like Tulane, for example, who has been very successful in the past 2 years, has been able to collect wide receiver 4- and 5-star talent, particularly out of the New Orleans area, get them back, and they've eventually ended up being NFL level, practice squad level guys, which at that G5 level makes a huge difference. And so on the defensive side of the ball, we've seen some real success in turning over defenses quickly. That Florida State team from 2 years ago, who now basically comprise the key pieces of the Los Angeles Rams defense, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse, both transfers up. And so defense, you can pretty much rebuild the team. You can pick guys up from different places. But on offense, particularly on the offensive line, it's a little bit harder.
The college football looks like the playoffs are expanding to 16 teams. There was a comment from Kirby Smart that just kind of, I don't know, just got my blood boiling. And they were asked about playing more conference games. And he's like, why do we want to have 9 more losses in our conference against, our chances of getting to the college football playoffs? And it just was really annoying to me because it's like, well, what are you saying then? You want an easier schedule? You want cupcake games to ensure that you have an inflated win total so that you get more teams in the playoffs? And that to me just kind of flies in the face of what like competition's all about. So that being said, do you like where this is headed with the college football playoffs? Does it help a conference like the Big 12? Is there a likelihood that the Big 12 can get more teams into the playoffs? I guess it really is the one thing I'm curious about. Or maybe how is the best strategy for the Big 12 to get multiple teams into the playoffs?
I think it's a very interesting question, especially given the discussions between the SEC and the Big Ten, basically talking as if they run college football now. I am a big believer that the ACC and Big 12 are also very good. And frankly, I think in certain cases they may be deeper, even though they may not have the ultra top tier Clemson talent. Clemson, Alabama, Florida State, et cetera, whatever talent that some of the other programs have, other conferences have. I like the 12-team playoff. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think perhaps this is just another money run from college football specifically as these teams start to think about having to share more revenue, generate more money, increase donations, and thus the television rights go up. You're able to do that a little bit more. I like the 12 team, though. I think it's the perfect middle ground. You get those teams in like Boise and SMU last year who had excellent years and deserve their shot at a program-defining win in the first or second round, but you also end up with two of the best teams. I think Ohio State and Notre Dame last year were certified the best two teams. Did they look a little tired going into the national championship game? Yes. Did Riley Leonard look specifically tired after they ran him like 15 times on the first drive? Yeah, I got to love it, but you never know how it affects those players' bodies. So I think the 16 team may just be too much of an expansion at this point. I think they're doing the same thing in basketball as well, where they're trying to expand again. And what I want to stay away from is getting in those teams who basically are going 500 or slightly above it, and then they get in because of strength of schedule. They end up playing another power team and just get smoked. I don't really want to see that. I don't think that's good football. I'd personally rather see a good football team who has won a lot of games maybe get beat by 2 touchdowns but compete, given that they earned it. And I think there's just a different level of earning it over a 12-game season in college football, having, had to do it 4 times. I mean, overcoming by week 6, week 7, week 8, and continuing to push forward into week 12 makes a huge difference. If you're able to win 11 or 12 games, I think you should have a shot at least to show yourself against the best in the nation.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation about, kind of the number, and I agree with a lot of what you said as far as the the number of teams, and are you just are you just padding it, or are you just on a money run? Which brings me to a comment you said about it feels like the SEC and the Big Ten run college football, and with this House settlement, clearly it's going to spur on more lawsuits. Does anyone ever just stand up to the big bullies and say, "Hey, you guys are colluding"? You guys are freezing us all out. This is a free enterprise world we live in, and you guys maybe are violating antitrust laws in your conference with your domination of things. Do you ever see anyone standing up to the Big Ten and the SEC and actually suing them? Because it seems like people think that they might have a voice now that they didn't before.
I mean, I think it's very possible, whether that's on the labor side with the players. Obviously, there's some pretty staunch disagreements about what that House settlement actually says, as expected. I was a huge skeptic about what this House settlement could potentially be going in. I think it's very difficult to limit NIL rights when name, image, and likeness, by definition, are the athlete individuals themselves. Very difficult to keep people from compensating them for that, especially if they're not employees. So there's that threat to the SEC and the Big Ten in particular, especially if you are thus depressing the NIL rights of players at excellent programs like Utah, Colorado, Baylor, SMU, Clemson, etc., particularly Clemson, Florida State, some of those programs. And then, moreover, you look at the interaction between all the conferences and the fact that the Big 12, for the most part, has a pretty West Coast or Midwest, Texas. It has a pretty close geographic phase with a lot of good rivalries and a lot of things that people want to watch. And then as that continues to get watered down by the Big Ten adding Oregon and all these other people, that causes problems as well, particularly for travel, particularly for schools having to outlay budgets that are quite intense. There's Title IX issues as well, as these teams, and as has begun to happen in FCS, have to just cut women's programs or men's programs as well, golf programs. There's a bunch of problems. I think the NCAA is kind of moving all over the place, shaken up, and I think at some point someone's going to have to step in, whether that is through a settlement or through a lawsuit, and figure this all out.
Yeah. It seems like it's a mess, but it seems like it's a hot mess that might get fixed at some point. We'll see what happens, but it's fascinating. College football is always great, still great. Okay, what are some numbers? What are some things you guys have been studying that I think is maybe something we don't know about, something that's really compelling about this year's college football season?
So I think you got to look at Florida State. I think they're a fascinating business. We were talking a little bit about the business of college football. They're a fascinating business element, given they're the biggest school in the ACC, probably alongside Clemson, the most likely to jump to one of those power conferences if they were so released or something like that. But let's just focus on the football right now. A lot of trash talk going in between them and Alabama. SEC Media Days going on today. They were responding to quarterback Thomas Castellanos, who just transferred from Boston College to Florida State. I got that week 1 circled. And I think Thomas Castellanos is very interesting. You look at what we call expected points added per dropback. Basically just puts yards in context and tells us how successful that player is per dropback and if he's hitting the correct big plays, so forth and so on. He was a top 25 guy in that statistic, but he was very, very hurtful to the Boston College team in the running game, despite having quite a few carries. I think he had something like 60, 70 carries last year, which typically a non-running quarterback will have between 30 and 50. So he was getting some action in the running game, particularly when he was scrambling around. When you are, that far down the list in the hundreds on running and what you are doing for your team, it's going to be interesting how Florida State manages that, given the lack of success they saw last year and their ability, as I said, to kind of try to build through the transfer portal. It worked out for them 2 years ago, fell flat on its face. I have that circled for week 1, and then those other marquee matchups, man. Ohio State, Texas, Clemson, LSU. I think those are potentially 4 of the best teams this year. Ohio State's going to come in with a rookie quarterback, or freshman quarterback, playing his first game. But I want to understand, particularly as it affects the NFL, how much Jeremiah Smith, who the data shows is one of the best wide receivers probably in modern college football history, especially through his first year, how much he can open things up for Julian Sayin, the rookie quarterback for Ohio State, against an excellent and experienced Texas defense. One of the best defenses in the nation last year. They're bringing back a ton of young talent. That's a matchup I want to note. Then last one on that week 1, Garrett Nussmeier, a very efficient quarterback. He's not going to move a whole bunch. I'm really interested to see what he does against a Clemson defensive line who is full of first-round talent. Now, Dabo Swinney did note that's first-round projections. He says he hasn't necessarily seen the numbers. All those guys, including Peter Woods, some other defensive linemen, do have good metrics when it comes down to what we were seeing on a frame-by-frame, play-by-play basis. That being said, the production wasn't necessarily top tier last year. I want to be interested if they will be able to sack Nussmeier consistently. That is something that he was good at avoiding last year. That Clemson team is able to get after him. I'm really excited for that week 1 matchup as well.
Always appreciate the conversation. Great stuff. Love your passion. Love what you do. Have a great day, Sam. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
All right, there you have it. Sam Bruckhouse from Sumer Sports. He is a football analyst, data analyst. They dive deep in the numbers, and man, the numbers never lie. So we love that. Sports Center will be live at Dumke Family Stadium for the Athletes Unlimited Softball League Salt Lake tournament Thursday, July 17th. Utah's ESPN Radio Network will be live at the stadium from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., including the Sean O'Connell Show from 11 to 2 and the Down and Dirty from 10 to 11. Join us. We'll be giving away official ESPN T-shirts and tickets to the Athletes Unlimited Softball games. Coming up around the corner, so much more. Major League Baseball apparently had a home run derby to finish its All-Star game. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. I'm not Sean O'Connell. I'm Scott Mitchell here filling in for Sean. This will be my last day. It's Wednesday, by the way, and that little engine that could got to the top of the hill, and we are now on the downhill slide for the weekend. It's hump day, and we're cruising right through the hump day of sports right here on Utah's #1 sports talk. Major League Baseball had its All-Star game, and it was a very competitive, spirited game. They had to decide it by a home run derby instead of extra innings. Kyle Schwarber won the MVP after hitting the game-winning home runs.
Did you see this, Scott? Did you tune in?
Okay, here's the thing about me. I don't know what it is. I think I get really tired from doing the show all day and talking. I was like out early.
You were out. So
yeah, and I really wanted to win it, but I thought it's a fascinating way to win, or to, I guess to. Do you think they kind of did it on purpose?
Oh, they absolutely did.
Like they go, hey, let's figure out a way to tie up this game, and then we'll do some kind of unique.
Gotcha.
I'm sure you watched it.
I don't think they did that because
not intentionally.
The NL was up 6-0 after like 4 innings, or was it 5 innings? And then the AL had to really grind to get. I mean, they had a 3-run.
Did they all know that was the way that they were going to decide a tie?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing the announcement about this, but this was definitely decided before the season.
Well, baseball is fixed anyways. So they fix all the sports.
I mean, all the they've had the most gambling scandals, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so
see that.
They probably go, we need to tie. So however, someone's calling down, going, let's tie this up so we can make this really interesting.
I'll say this, Scott. It was a fun game because of the comeback. AL ended up tying it with 2 outs in the 9th inning, so it got that dramatic. And then I thought the home run. I think they officially called it a home run swing off.
Yeah.
But it was basically home run derby. Each team picked 3 guys. Each of them got 3 swings, and it was like a head-to-head style thing.
Was it like batting practice type of speed, or did they have their own pitchers? I mean, it wasn't the opposing team throwing.
No, it was a bench coach. It was one of the bench coaches for the All-Star team.
So
for
it's
each All-Star
very
team.
Similar to like the home run derby.
Yeah, it was home run derby style, and but you only get 3 swings. So even if unlike home run derby, even if you keep hitting home runs, you don't get to keep going. Schwarber, the AL was up 3-1 in the swing off when Schwarber got up, and then he hit a home run on all 3 swings. It was amazing.
That's dramatic.
It was amazing. So I thought it was a great way to end it. It's a lot better than putting the second baseman on, or someone on second base, I think, in extra innings. If they wanted to, I mean, I'm not in favor of doing this in real games, but if they wanted to come up with a way to end it quick, like regular season games quicker, I'd like this better than putting a guy on second like they've been doing the last few years. Yeah. But it's ideal for like spring training or all-star game. I love that they did.
We are desperate as a sports world to get our all-star games and our Pro Bowls and everything relevant. And I'm just telling you, there's just one simple way. It's a very simple way. You just get the president to piss off somebody, piss off another country to do something, and then you have great all-star games.
And then you let the players fight like the Four Nations. Actually, absolutely.
All right, love it. Hey, if you are in Orem this week, make sure you stop by Orem Toyota for a chance to win $5,000 in cash. Next giveaways are July 17th and July 24th. 17th is tomorrow. Take a selfie with a red tag vehicle, tag yourself in the dealership, then register on ESPN700sports.com. Don't miss your chance to win $5,000 in cash. Are you kidding me? People, go do this. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. None other than Adrian Denny. Of course, he's the host of Utah Mammoth Radio, Between the Pipes. He's going to join us here at the top of the hour on the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Proud to be a part of Utah's ESPN Radio Sports Network. All right. We have a lot going on today, a lot of fun stuff. If you miss any of it, don't worry. Just go to the ESPN700sports.com. You can listen live. You can also go to the ESPN 700 app and do that as well, or you can listen in the podcast version. Either one, live or podcast. And you can also get on your smart speaker because it's smart. And if you tell it, it will play ESPN 700. And that's all you got to do is just say, hey, just do this. We're also on YouTube at ESPN 700 Sports Utah. So don't fear if you just miss part of this, but you don't want to miss what we're going to talk about now, because we're going to talk about the Utah Mammoth with none other than Adrian Denny. He's the studio host for Utah Mammoth Radio. Between the Pipes, love it. Welcome. He's in studio today. Adrian, how you doing today?
What's up,
appreciate
Scott?
You being part of the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yes. Of course, Adrian is brought to you by Angora and Aladdin Industries. Okay, a lot of hockey news, a lot to talk about. But first, I'm really fascinated about this retrofitting conversion of the Delta Center to kind of, I guess, get the best of both worlds. Can you talk me through, like, what's going to happen for hockey fans, why this is so good for hockey fans, what's going to make a difference, and really, is this type of thing going to bring a Stanley Cup championship to Utah? That's what I want to know.
It's going to help.
Okay, good.
It's definitely going to help.
Please.
So last year, 11,131. That was the number of seats that could see everything. We could get over 16,000, but there was some obstructed view areas, but you were still in the arena.
You were there.
You were at the Rock Show. You were still feeling it. You were at an NHL game in Utah. So this is going to add more seats where you can see the action better. And it's also not going to take away from the NBA experience, right? It's easy to go in, you move some stuff around, but as we all know, Delta Center in the NBA doesn't get any better as far as fans being on top of the action, the way they can see the game, the acoustics in the building, the way it rocks. So you want that to stay the same. You want more people for hockey that can also get a good vision of it. And folks that are a lot smarter than me have figured out a way to make it so they can adjust the configuration so that it's going to be perfect for the NHL and stay perfect for the Jazz. And it's part of a multi-year project. And if you've been down there, Delta Center's a big old construction zone right now. You've seen the pictures. You know it's the Arena Bowl because they tell you on social media, but you can't necessarily tell that it's the Arena Bowl right now with all the moving and shaking.
So what does it do this year? Like what kind of impact? And you go, it goes from 11 to 16. Is that the number that, or what will be the final number of people that can actually comfortably and effectively watch a hockey game?
It's going to be over 17.
Over 17.
Over 17 by the time everything gets done over the next couple summers, and it's going to be a step-by-step process. And when you get into Delta Center in October, you're not even going to be able to tell that anything's happened.
Digging in the dirt.
Then we'll play another season, and then
do it again.
Back to work.
So how does it help the team? Like I was kind of joking, a little tongue in cheek on the Stanley Cup. But what does it mean to have an arena that is a formidable place? What kind of impact does it actually have on the team and their success on the ice?
We saw it last year after the first phase. Last summer was event level, right? Locker rooms, training areas, conditioning, dining, that stuff. So the Mammoth, the hockey club, the Utah Hockey Club last year, and the visiting teams are coming in to a first-year arena and like, holy cow, this is amazing. And we heard it from the visiting teams too.
Oh, wow.
Looking at, the visiting locker rooms and the space that they had. And the players coming into Delta Center last year in a brand new locker room. First time I went into the locker room during training camp, I'm like, I know that I've been in here before, but it wasn't a locker room, and I
Right.
couldn't even tell.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the ceiling, and you're looking at the way they did the stalls and the changing areas, and it was really amazing. It's the best, and that's the goal for everything, is to be the best in the NHL. And the training facility, the practice facility at Southtown.
Right. Where is that?
It's going to be ready to go.
Oh, really?
For training camp.
Oh, nice.
In September. And we got to tour that in March.
Okay.
And Ryan Smith, owner and governor Ashley Smith, president of hockey operations Chris Armstrong, they're showing us around, and they're like, want this to be top 5. And I'm like, top 5? This is going to be the best.
Nice. That's right. Come on.
There's absolutely no doubt that this is going to be the best in the NHL, and we've heard it from the free agents that have been signed so far. Brandon Tanev, Nate Schmidt. We've heard from them so far. JJ Peterka acquired in the trade. They've brought up like facilities, arena. We were at Delta Center. Place was rocking.
This kind of stuff matters to the players. It has an impact.
Yeah.
Has an impact on bringing players here, maybe being happy here. I mean, I would imagine all of that.
The practice facility is where they're going to spend all day, every day.
Yeah.
We're even going to skate there in the morning on game days before coming downtown. And what you see in a lot of NHL markets is the players kind of gravitate around the practice facility. They live closer to that,
right? Maybe
on the outskirts of town, the outskirts of downtown, and so you have that as home base. You go in, you get settled, you practice, you are there to work out. You've got the dining, the catering, 3 meals a day, and it's your home. And we had that this year at the Oval, out in Kearns, and that was a facility that was put together basically overnight, put in, adjusted the Olympic size ice sheet to be standard NHL, build out the locker rooms, build in office space, training space. And that was kind of the first, our first experience of Utah in the NHL was that facility, and knowing we were going to be going to this one, but that one was pretty good too.
Wasn't bad for makeshift
and just put together in a summer.
So, just kind of a side note, this new facility, the practice facility, is it going to have any significance in the Olympics? Because you talk about venues, and even I know this kind of growing hockey from a ground roots up, and Ryan talked about cities who are willing to build facilities for youth programs, and is this just solely this is a Utah Mammoth facility, it's off limits to people, or what kind of impact does it have on our community in general?
The vision from SEG is for it to be Utah's home for hockey. It's going to start with 2 rinks. There's going to be a third. There's 8 locker rooms, and it's going to be hustling and bustling. There's going to be seats for fans to go watch practice. That's something that we want, is for fans to be able to watch practice.
Can you watch practice during the season, or is it just like in training camp or whatever?
Ultimately, you'll be able to watch the Mammoth practice in the morning for year one.
Yeah.
It's going to be another one of those things that's
right.
There's still going to be some ongoing work and still going to be working on that third sheet, but ultimately. The vision is for fans to go down to Southtown and be able to watch practice, and for youth to practice there, and for it to be the community's home for everything hockey.
I remember in the NFL when we'd have training camp in the summer, and we would be either at our practice facility, depending on what team it was, or we went to some college, and we'd have thousands of people show up and watch practice every day. And I was always like, what do these people do for a living? Because there's a lot of people out here practicing. And I never really thought about it in the sense of hockey, but that would be fun. I'd love to go out and watch watch them practice. That would be a fun thing. So it sounds amazing.
We were up in Park City 2 weeks ago at our prospect and development camp right after the draft at the Park City Ice Arena. Monday, Tuesday, during the day, middle of the summer. Monday, great crowd. Tuesday was packed.
Wow.
Of people watching our draft picks at a summer camp. It was the forwards were on in the first session and the D were on in the second session. And then 2 weeks ago tomorrow at the Utah Olympic Oval, we had our season ticket members and youth hockey out watching a scrimmage. So
oh wow, that's awesome. I love it. You have to do that though. You gotta bring people along. You gotta educate them. You gotta get them excited. You gotta have it accessible to people.
It's one of those. It's one of those things. Why wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah.
You do it because you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. When I played with the Lions in Detroit, the Red Wings, big deal there. In fact, I remember the first week I was there. And they have the news, the sports, and it's all about the Red Wings. And I'm like, oh, this is a big deal, because I had never really lived anywhere where hockey was, king. And they were great. They love to have players come. They invited us. I went to practices. They invited me out on the ice, and to this is when they were Scotty Bowman and Steve Yzerman and Sergei Fedorov and all those guys. And I was like, no, you guys, I'm not a great skater or anything. And I was like, you guys will embarrass the heck out of me if I get out on this ice. But they were just so accommodating and so open. And it was just, it's kind of a refreshing, it feels like to me, hockey as a professional sport is still kind of the people's sport. It's not so, hoity-toity about itself that it can take itself too seriously, and it just seems accessible to me.
The guys love sports, right? I've ridden the bus in the minors watching them do like their Masters pools and their NCAA pools, and I'm turning around one year and I'm like, these guys are having an in-depth conversation about the NBA, and I look at last year. Guys were at Rice Eccles watching the Utes early in September, the Baylor game. We had a bunch of players out there, and every night it seemed like you looked front row, and you had Utah Mammoth players at the Jazz games, and Lauri Markkanen out of Finland, finisher,
right?
Big hockey fan, has skated out on opening night and dropped the puck, and so we've got couple Finns on our team and able to integrate him, and they're just sports fans, and it was fun to have the team come in and instantly become fans of our teams that we've been rooting for years here.
All right, so much I want to get to, but I'm just going to start with schedule here. So it came out today. What do you look for in the regular season schedule for NHL hockey? What is it? Matchups through the year. What are the things? What are the things we need to know about this year's schedule that are important that have meaning?
So schedule, regular season commences October 9th at Colorado. 3-game road trip will start the season at the Avs, at the Nashville Predators Saturday, October 11th, at Chicago Monday, October 13th. Then home for a 4-game homestand opening night October 15th against Calgary. Went 3-0 against them last year. There's not going to be a lot of home games early. 18 of 29 games to start the year going to be on the road. 24 of the final 40 going to be at home. Last year, Utah was really good early on the road. I don't mind it. I don't know how you felt in football, but early on, I think you put a hockey team on the road. It's never a bad thing. You come out of camp and you go straight to the road and you stay together. It kind of stays like training camp. You're in your routine. Last year, Utah went 3-0-1 against teams on their opening nights. Started off on the road 2-1-1 first road trip. Had a 7-game unbeaten streak on the road after Thanksgiving and right before Christmas. So I don't think 18 to 29 on the road is anything that's that bad. And then you finish strong going into the playoff run, 24 of the final 40 at home. That's what I kind of look at. Where are the stretches of heavy road, heavy home? 7-game homestand is going to start that 24 of the final 40 at home in January. And you look at it, there's a 3-week Olympic break because the NHL players are going to be in the Olympics again in February. doesn't really affect, the dressing of the schedule. 11 back-to-backs this year, 11 back-to-backs last year. But for the fans at home, I think last year we only saw Vegas once. That's kind of a regional rival. Everybody knows about the Golden Knights. Only saw Edmonton once. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Western Conference champions. They both come to town twice this year in Vegas and Edmonton. And then I think the other thing you look at is your division schedule, because the way this year's schedule is, next year it's going to be different because we're adding 2 more games. There's going to be 84 games in the collective bargaining agreement that starts in 26-27. So you play every team in the division 4 times, but there's 2 teams you only play 3 times. And this year it's Winnipeg and Minnesota. You only play 3 times. So Winnipeg won the division last year, and then we had to go play them last year twice up there, which is, even on charters, is a long trip. And then only play Minnesota 3 times as well. So that's kind of my casual breakdown after getting the email at 11 a.m. and just kind of perusing the thing.
Winnipeg is it's where they do all the testing for harshness for the automobile industry. I don't know if you know that. And so they because it has the most the harshest extremes. It'll get really warm, but it'll also get brutally cold. And so they test paint, I guess, for cars. But you speak of the division and the Mammoth are relatively new. I mean, do you carry old rivals? Is this team developing rivals? Who are the rivals, and how meaningful are those? And what will those games look like?
I look at Colorado and Vegas.
Yeah,
just because
of the
regional proximity, right? We've had Avs games on TV here for years, right?
Yeah,
30 years since they got here. They were on TV before the NHL came to Utah. Vegas came in 2017, and a lot of Utah hockey fans started gravitating and becoming Vegas Golden Knight fans, and they made the Stanley Cup final their first year, and they've been pretty good. So I look at Colorado and Vegas as the 2 teams that I think get the most excitement going. But I mean, you look at the NHL, and I know a lot of our fans. I've seen a lot on social today of our fans looking at the schedule today and instantly booking trips to go watch games. And one thing I think you see a lot of in the NHL that I haven't noticed as much in other sports is the amount of NHL fans that will plan a winter trip to go watch their teams. And we're in a cold weather place here, but it's Salt Lake. We hosted an Olympics. It's a destination spot, and it was a first-year NHL team last year. We saw a lot of visiting fans last year here in Utah taking it all in, and I know they were all pretty impressed with what they saw. So that might be another thing that maybe it's from night to night you're playing the Rangers, you're gonna have a chunk of their fans.
Yeah.
And I remember
where do Mammoth fans go? Where do they want to go? Is it to Vegas? Is it to New York?
That's the great part about it. We're so close to Vegas. We're so close to Colorado.
Right.
You can take a quick drive to Vegas. You can take an hour flight to Denver, or you can be like, well, what about some fun in the sun?
Right.
Build in some Florida Panthers, some Tampa Bay, some Dallas, or you're like, it's Christmas time. It's the holidays. What a better time to jump over to New York City, Boston, check that out. And so I think we're so new. I think there's you can go
People are
anywhere.
starting to figure some of that stuff out and go, hey, this could be kind of fun,
You got Seattle and Vancouver, and those are 2 other cities that are fun to go to for.
I hadn't really thought that much about that, but that'd be kind of a cool thing. All right, this team was on the verge of the playoffs a year ago. That feels like that's kind of the progression of where this is going. Why wasn't the Mammoth in the playoffs last year? Where were they deficient? Have they filled some of those holes? Or are they ready to make a significant run in the playoffs here this year? What's that status?
I think so. I look at last year in a couple of components. Going into last year, we thought, all right, we're going to score a lot of goals here. Yeah. The question is, how do we keep the puck out of the net?
Right.
Then we had some injuries early to some key defensemen. John Marino started the year injured. Sean Dursey got hurt 4th game, and all of a sudden we are really, really thin.
Yeah.
And kind of had to adjust on the fly and become a defense first team just to not give up 20 grade A scoring chances a night. And by doing so, kind of affected our scoring. So, you make a positive out of it. We got much better defensively during the course of the year, which affected our goal scoring when we did have our full team back. So I think going into this year, we're going to be much better defensively, but wanted to add some more scoring at the same time. So that's how I look at it. And last year we had Connor Ingram away from the team for some big gaps in time, and Karel Vejmelka at one point started 20-plus games, gets a 5-year contract. All of a sudden, he's your starting goalie. So I think we had a lot of situations last year that were unexpected that you can say, well, the injuries on D, Vejmelka starting 20-plus straight games without Connor Ingram. But I think now you can look at it as a positive that maybe showed us, all right, so we can do this. And now you go out and you add J.J. Peterka from Buffalo, 55 goals in the last 2 years, had 27 last year, 28 the year before that. Top 4 scorer in the NHL in players under 23 the last 3 years. We got him in that big trade. And then I think, oh, gosh, we need some more size in the NHL now. Our pipeline is loaded. We're huge the way that general manager Bill Armstrong is drafted. We need a little more size. We need to be a little more physical. Went out and got Brandon Tanev, who was in Winnipeg for the first couple rounds of the playoffs last year after trade from Seattle. So went out and got him. I think that addresses the size, the want for a little more grit. And then got Nate Schmidt, who won a Stanley Cup with Florida. Defenseman, we're really deep on D-men, but good problem to have. Bill Armstrong said last week, like, you dress 6, but your 7th defenseman is going to play in 65% of your games. So you got to be deep,
right?
Just the way things go. So I think OC and I talked about it last week. Utah was one of 4 teams to get an A from The Athletic, an A grade in free agency.
Yeah.
And it was something that I felt they should have, and was impressed to see that they agreed, because I think that was it. So last year was close. And going into last year, I think you're thinking, okay, we're going to be in the hunt. Can we be that team that makes the playoffs out of the 3-4 teams that are going for that last spot? We were there, and in going into the final couple weeks, had a chance and just fell a little short. So I think some good lessons where we thought we were going to be, and now this year adding those pieces a year older and going through the unexpecteds, I think made everybody better.
All right, before I let you go, is there something that we all need to know that we don't know? Is there something you can enlighten us about that's going on with the Mammoth that should get us excited? Maybe it's something we don't know, something that you want the fans to hear.
You want to talk some more hockey in the summer? How about that? We have got Mammoth Week coming up. Starts a week from Saturday, and it's a statewide tour. We're going to be in Logan. We're going to be in Provo, Park City, Cottonwood Heights, Ogden, Enoch, which is just north of Cedar City. I've lived here since I was 8. I had no idea where Enoch was until I saw it on this itinerary and looked it up. But it's just north of Cedar City.
Wait, you're going to Enoch?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's at KJ's Ice Barn, baby. Friday, August 1st. And St. George. So we're going to be all throughout the state with lots of fun at the local rink. So come find us, UtahMammoth.com. You can find the rink and date where we're going to be in your area. We'll have pop-up merchandise stands. You get your new Mammoth gear, some hockey instruction. We'll have some more advanced hockey instruction too. You can sign up for. So I'd say check out Mammoth Week.
I love it. Mammoth Week should be a Mammoth year. It's going to be the year. I can feel it. Just a lot of good stuff. A lot of great energy. Exciting things happening. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming in, Adrian, and have a great rest of your day, and have a great Mammoth Week.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me, man.
You got it. All right. There you have it, folks. Between the Pipes, Adrian Denny, studio host for the Utah Mammoth. Of course, it's brought to you by Angora and Aladdin Industries. Live Night Events presents the 2025 Granary Live Concert Series, powered by Nightingale College and Murdoch Hyundai, Utah's #1 Hyundai dealer. Experience outdoor concerts in the heart of downtown Salt Lake's Granary District. Find more details on ESPN700sports.com. Amy Hogue is around the corner. She's, of course, the head softball coach at the University of Utah. On the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700 92.1 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700 92.1 FM. Utah's #1 sports talk. Sean is out. He's in another continent. And for that reason, I am your host today. Scott Mitchell here. So glad you could be a part of our show. Man, it's just flying by again. Man, I've had so much fun all week doing this, so I really hope that you have enjoyed it as well. We are spanning the globe. We are covering all aspects of sports. It is hump day, and the little engine that could has gotten to the top of the hill. He did it, and we're sliding down the hill on hump day here into the weekend. And, of course, joining us right now is the head softball coach at the University of Utah, Amy Hogue. Amy, how you doing?
I'm so great. How are you?
Oh, living the dream, and it is not a nightmare. Not a nightmare at all. All right, so
that's great.
Yes. At least that's what they tell me. I have no idea. I've been hitting the head so much that, I don't know if I'm coming or going, but it's all a good thing. Actually, here's the sad thing, not to kind of, segue into my life because it's not that interesting. I actually had my brain tested. So part of the NFL concussion settlement, you had to have your brain tested. I went for 2 days. 10-hour long grueling days, and they found out my brain was normal, which was in some ways disappointing to me because I have no excuse.
Could be.
Yeah, it's I'm a perfectly normal human being doing very imperfect, abnormal things. So it's a fun life.
On that note, I have to tell you they had some meetings with the athletic department. Coaches are invited to learn some more things about this age of student athletes, and they talked to us one day for about 30 minutes about their brain not being fully developed. And
Yes.
I'm like, yes, we know that. So what do we do about that? So yeah, we're all in the same boat, but trying to figure out what we can blame everything on. But.
Okay, so I coached high school football, and someone told me that, and it helped me. I was losing my mind until I found that out, and then it's like, that explains all of these like bizarre things that these kids are actually doing and not doing. So that's how do you combat that?
Yeah.
Do you just kind of shrug it off and just go, their brains aren't developed, or are there ways that you can kind of minimize the lack of brain development?
I'm sure there's a lot of ways. I think if anything, it just allowed us to take a breath and have a little more patience because of just the science and the fact that, yes, these kids can do these things physically with their bodies a little more than even back when maybe you and me were playing ball up there on the hill. But the fact is their brains still aren't developed. And so they're performing in a way that you want to treat them like professionals, but we probably need to understand where they're coming from when it comes to their brain. Anyway, I thought it was useful, and a little more grace is required, I think. And that's all I've really done.
Amen on that one. Speaking of, kind of treating athletes a certain way, this new age of college sports and NIL and transfer portal and all those great things, what kind of impact have you seen on your program? Do you have to treat the players differently? Do you have issues? Do you have challenges? Where do you fit in all of this?
Yeah, no issues ever, no challenges ever. Yes, all easy. I think I'm someone that tends to look at what all these new things are bringing in the positive. I think a lot of times you can look at what you don't have, and it'll just make you crazy. I want to talk about what we do have and how the changes are positive, especially for women's sports, because that's what I do day in and day out. And instead of what we don't have compared to the football guys or whatnot, I feel extremely blessed in this day and age with the ability to now extend more scholarships to these young female student athletes who are getting their school paid for. And as long as the focus is there, it's not different. That's how it used to be. The numbers are growing, the opportunities are growing, the exposure on TV is growing, and in my mind, it's all good. And there are challenges if you want to stare at those all the time, and you have to, enough to make change and continue to push. But if you live there, it's a dark place and you're not noticing all the wonderful things that are happening. So I choose to live in the other place quite a bit of the time and feel really blessed. And it's a great time to be a student athlete and a coach in this land.
The University of Utah is hosting the Athletes Unlimited Softball League. The games start today. Of course, we're going to be up there tomorrow. ESPN, doing its 50 for 50, has specifically designated this event to highlight. We're going to broadcast all our shows. ESPN Sports Center is going to be there tomorrow. It's a big deal. Tell me what your thoughts are on this inaugural season and this league in general.
Oh, this league is phenomenal. So I've been following them since the beginning. I've had former student athletes of mine playing in this league since the beginning, and it gets better every year. The new commissioner that has taken over, Kim Ng, came over from Major League Baseball, and she is going to make this thing fly. Her alongside of a million others. I was just up at the stadium, and people are running around like crazy, excited about hosting this. And it's going to be great. I mean, it really shows well because our game is phenomenal to watch. So at the end of the day, it's really about the sport is enjoyable, and we're just putting it out on TV. It's something I've known all along when nobody was showing up, and the athletes are getting better, and the exposure is getting better, and the game is growing all the time. So this league is one of many that have started, but this one's going to fly. And I think the support and the former athletes like the Jessica Mendozas and the Jenny Finches and the Kat Ostermans, I can go on and on. The names that are involved this time with this group is the reason why this one's going to stick. So it's pretty exciting.
So how did you get the honor to actually host this event? What went into all that?
I paid him a lot of money. No, they did a research. There was a woman that helped pick the sites that was involved early on, and she contacted me actually last fall and said, we'd like to tour your place, and, we're picking about 12 cities for this tour that we're doing, and they're the inaugural year of the league, and out of those 12 sites that we maybe pick, you have a good shot to maybe be one of the 6 that we're going to pick the following year. And at the end of the day, there's just a whole lot of things that go into picking a city. So I'd love to say it was all about us and our stadium, but really it's about Salt Lake. And it's a place that hosts a lot of conventions, a lot of, everything is set up for this to work in the summer. Not as much in the winter, but in the summer for a spring sport. And it checked all the boxes. And when she came to visit, I was like, we got to get this done. And I was planning on rolling everything out for her to the T. And come to find out, all 3 of her daughters had already come to school here. She lived here for usually 2 months out of the year in a VRBO because she can work remotely. So I didn't have to talk her into anything. She just wanted to meet me in the field because she knew Salt Lake was going to be on the list of choices. So really, Salt Lake City sells itself. So we just opened the doors at the stadium.
Last year, first year in the Big 12, just some thoughts. What was it like? How was it different from the Pac-12? Just kind of, how did you feel about your first year?
Yeah, well, let's not talk about how we did because that was crummy. But we, entering the Big 12, are really excited. Me especially. I'm in the point of my career where I want to go to new places, and I hadn't been to Lubbock. I haven't been over to see KU's field and over in Ames, Iowa. I mean, those are on the list for next year, both of those. And so it's exciting time to, grow our program and our footprint. There's a lot of great softball in the state of Texas, and we haven't really tapped into some of those areas for recruiting. So if anything, it just kind of grew that. We're going to see more of the country recruit a little wider and have some fun in this league. It's a good one, and it's run by some great people. So it's different than the Pac in a few ways. I find that they grow them a little bigger in the Midwest. They hit a few more home runs, a lot less run game. So, we're cracking into a little bit of that kind of game, but our style of game won't completely change, but there wasn't a lot of stealing and all the trick stuff, drag bunts and squeeze bunts, whereas the Pac used to be a lot of a run and gun kind of thing. So, it's different, but we'll keep to what worked for us and keep recruiting that way.
This event happening with this Athletes Unlimited Softball League, what kind of impact does that have on your program, on recruiting, on just the profile of your team?
Yeah, all of it impacts recruiting. I mean, everything does. Any good exposure, and everything about this league right now is good exposure. So that the fact that, SportsCenter's coming out tomorrow and we're on ESPN2 today and MLB.com and those networks is carrying everything that ESPN doesn't pick up. I mean, our state, like I said, it's getting a little crowded here, so I do like hiding it mostly, but when I'm trying to get recruits, I want everyone to know about it. But it's a beautiful place, and I love sharing it, especially if they just come in and visit and leave instead of buying a house and causing more traffic. But I do think that everyone's going to enjoy their time here, and the impact is just more visibility for the youths. So I love it.
Next year, what can we expect from your team? What are you excited about?
Yeah, we have a lot of young players. Last year we had, I think a dozen or less combined innings in the circle returning. So last year was a new year, not just in the circle, but on the field. We only had one returning starter. So a lot of kids got a lot of innings last year and learned a lot. And then this year we're adding 8 freshmen, a couple of a couple of grad students that are transferring that we're going to have throw in for us. And yeah, it's a fun time to be a coach when you have quite a bit of a new team. So, and I like it still. So I'm excited to get, roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty and see what we can make out of this group. They're an excited bunch, and they have a lot to prove, and we have a long way to go compared to, what we did last year. So I'm excited about it.
Well, I'm excited as well. It's really nice to chat with you, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'm really excited. I'm going to spend the whole day up there tomorrow, so be a lot of fun to check out this whole experience and what's going on. And hope you have a great rest of your day, and best of luck with everything.
Yeah, can we put a bat in your hand so we get a pitcher lined up so you can hit it?
Oh yes. Are you are you serious about this?
Serious.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have a break in the middle of the day.
There.
I have a break in the middle of the day from 11 to 2, 11 to 1, 11 to 1.
Come over.
Noon, I'll do batting practice at noon.
Do it.
All right.
I will be there, and I'll set it up. You just text me.
Oh, man, I'm going to bring my cleats tomorrow. I'm going to put my sweatbands on.
If you do that, we're going to expect you to actually hit it. So you might want to just downplay it a little bit.
Okay, I will.
Thanks, Scott.
I'll do it left-handed. Okay. How's that?
There you go. Even better.
All right, thanks, Amy. Take care.
Thanks, Scott. See you tomorrow. Okay, bye.
Hey, I'm going to be doing batting practice. I'm excited about this. I cannot wait. Maybe I can wait. We'll see. I used to be a pretty darn good baseball player, but it's not softball, and so this will be fun. There you have it. Of course, the head coach for women's Utah softball, Amy Hogue, has just joined us. We're going to be up there tomorrow, so it'll be a lot of fun. The Athletes Unlimited Softball League is coming to Salt Lake July 16th, which is today, through the 19th at the Dumke Family Softball Stadium at the University of Utah. Watch these legendary AUSL pro softball players on the Blaze and Talons battle it out, including Bree Ellis, Elia Andrews, Utah's own Hannah Flippin, and many more. To learn more, go to the AUSL.com and you get your tickets today. AUSL, this is legendary. We're giving away a pair of tickets to Saturday's game during Topical Trivia around 1:45 today. All right, when we come back, more to come from the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700 92.1 FM. Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. Of course, tomorrow we'll be up on the Hill. A really fun conversation with Amy Hogue. And I was so glad to hear that. Like, I didn't feel so alone as a football coach when I was told that, young people's brains just not fully developed. And it was fun to hear that. And I always thought it was just boys, but it's actually girls too. So.
No, yeah, it's everybody. And I think in a lot of cases, girls, just like they do in a lot of other ways, they develop a lot sooner than boys.
Yeah.
But it's still, there's still like till you're about 25 at the earliest, if I'm not mistaken, you're walking around with an underdeveloped brain.
Now
explains a lot of decision making.
I have had experience coaching both boys and girls, and it's different.
Yeah,
it's very different. In fact, Mitch Smith, who was a really good basketball player at the University of Utah when we were at the U at the same time, and he was coaching girls basketball, and he gave me some pointers. And he I think he had 3 girls, and he coached them, loved coaching them. And he said I was coaching my girls, and they were doing such a great job, and I just felt like they needed a break. No other reason than I was just rewarding them for doing such a great job. And so I said, girls, you've done great. I'm going to give you today off. And they all came up to him and said, well, what did we do wrong? What's wrong with us? Why are you giving us this time? Did we do something that you're not happy about? What was going on here?
Why are you punishing us by letting us have a day off?
Right. And so he said, boys, you kind of have to get on them, and you got to get emotional, and you guys need to be tough, and and girls, if you do that, they'll cry. Right.
Yeah.
But girls they want to be coached, and they listen to every last thing you say, and they try to do it.
The good athletes and girls and women that really try to apply themselves tend to be a lot more rule followers than the boys in the same way. That's like I've found that too, and I've seen that with women athletes and girls who are athletes too. And so it is interesting, the difference there.
Very, very interesting. Yes.
Of course there are exceptions, but that does seem to be generally how it is. Yeah.
And it's not a knock on one sex over the other one. They're just different.
It's interesting. I would bet that it's a lot of it, as most things are. It's a socialization thing. It's just how culturally we are as boys, and as we turn into men as men, and then girls and women. But you would think that it'd be a lot similar with they're both athletes, right? But
so my daughter, I coached my daughter. She was high school girls sophomore basketball.
Okay.
And
were you the head coach?
I was, of course, yes. That's what I'm the assistant.
Why not?
Sophomore girls basketball. No,
I didn't know if you were just like, let me volunteer. Let me volunteer.
No, so they asked me to coach the sophomores. I said I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
So I talked to my daughter. Say, hey, I'm going to be your coach. I'm not your dad. I'm your coach.
Yeah.
Are you going to be okay with that? So I don't want this. You're
going to call me sir at practice.
Well, you're just not going to get away with the normal dad stuff.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, my daughter asked me for anything, I give it to her. Like, it's just like she's got me wrapped around her finger.
I'm going to try really hard not
as her coach, right? So they
unless no one's looking.
We got late into the season, and they were doing really well, and but they showed up late to practice one day, like way late, and they were giggling, they were having a good time, and they just got lost in time. And so I didn't say a word to them. I got them on the line as soon as they all got their shoes on, and they're late to practice. And I said, we're going to run this suicides, foul line, half court, 3/4. And if you don't make it under 33 seconds, whatever it was, we'll run it again. And I knew I had 2 girls that would never make it. And I purposely was like, you're not going to be late to practice. So they ran about 8 of these.
Oh, man.
And I said, now, look, you guys are playing well, and you can't get complacent. And complacency is when you just don't show up on practice. You got to do the little things right all the time. And I said, do you understand? Do you understand? This isn't a punishment. It's just a reminder. Get your butts to practice on time. Then they're all huffing and puffing, and I said, all right, now go shoot 10 foul shots because you're tired.
Yeah.
And 2 at a time. So they all go to their baskets. They get a partner. They're shooting shots. I go over to where my daughter is, and she's just breathing hard. And she's mad, right? and I go over to, I say, it's going to be all right. I says, give me a hug. And she says, no, you're my coach. You're not my dad. She just said, get out of here.
Stab you in the heart, but you kind of liked it too, didn't
I loved
you?
it. It was awesome. So, yeah, so I know how that is. It's interesting that the SEC.
Yeah, speaking of coaches.
Yes. And they got their media days going on. And I see Kalen DeBoer, who I really think a lot of. I think he's a great football coach. And I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't feel like it's a right fit at Alabama. I don't know.
It feels way too early to judge, but at the same time, just by appearances, it's just maybe it's not the place for Kalen DeBoer, but we'll see.
It's really hard to go in after a legend. And Nick Saban, was a legend there. And, oh, boy, I don't know. And then you hear these rumors that Saban's going to be back coaching again. And that's just any little thing that goes wrong is not a little thing. It's magnified times 20 when you're in a program like Alabama. And I salute Kalen DeBoer, for taking on that challenge and not being afraid of it. But, boy, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I would hope that Nick Saban would have enough respect for the program at Alabama and for the idea that, hey, I decided to step away. No one told me to step away. To if he does come back to coach somewhere else. But we've seen it before. Guys decide to retire and they come back to the same team sometimes. And if there's anything to some of these rumors that are popping up that you're talking about, Scott, who knows? Alabama might think about moving on from a really good coach.
Yeah,
at times been a great coach, Kalen DeBoer.
And he might get
Nick Saban back. We'll see.
And he'll be a great coach somewhere. It just might not be at Alabama.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're in Orem this week, make sure you stop by Orem Toyota for a chance to win $5,000 in cash. Next giveaways are July 17th and the 24th. Take a selfie with a red tag vehicle, tag yourself in the dealership, then register on ESPN700sports.com. Don't miss your chance to win $5,000 in cash. Just go do it. I mean, why not? All right, we come back. We got Paul Pugmire. Of course, the Open Championship is starting tomorrow. We have a great conversation on tap with Paul here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. We are on the cusp of one of my favorite sporting events in the world. And to join us in this discussion about the greatness that is the Open Championship, it's Paul Pugmire. Paul Pugmire, who is, of course, the host of Utah Golf Radio here on ESPN 700 every Saturday from 8 to 10 in the morning. Paul, welcome to the show. How you doing today? How is life?
Doing great. Life is good. It's Open Championship week.
It is. Oh, I know. It's fabulous. Are you at the venue? Are you going at all, or what's the status of where you are in your life?
I'm so thrilled that you would even ask if I was there, but no, I'm not. I'm home in Utah, and but that doesn't reduce the vibration factor very much. It's still Open Championship week, and you are so right. One of the best events of the year, one of the best weeks of the year.
So earlier in the week, while I was, I think I did it on my show, but I talked about the Open Championship and why I just absolutely love it, and I just think it's just such an incredible thing. I've had the opportunity to play several of the rotation courses over in Scotland, and it was just a life-changing experience for me. I birdied the road hole at the old course.
No.
I shot a set. Yeah, no. It was crazy. There were actually people watching from the Jigger Inn who actually gave me a standing ovation as I walked around the corner from the hotel. And they were like, "You're the only person today who's actually hit the fairway." So I hit my ball over the whole the hotel, and then I birdied it. It was just incredible. I think I could have died in that moment, Paul, and my life would be complete. But why is it so special? Why do you think people love this so much? Because I do, and I know why I do. But I'm curious what other people think.
It's about the history of the game itself. You played at St. Andrews, you birdied the road hole. This is the original golf course. This is where golf was invented or developed or kind of pulled from the ground by enterprising, gaming, sporty people. And they developed this game that has grown to be so engrossing and so mind-bending, and just it captures our mind and our heart and our soul. And St. Andrews, Scotland, and then after that, Ireland is where this game developed. And so the Open Championship ties into that history more and better than any other event in the game. And I think that's why the Open Championship is an event that speaks across generations, across cultures, across any sort of divide that you can come up with. The Open Championship really reaches over every single one of those and connects with people.
This year's event is being held in Northern Ireland. And tell me a little bit about the course and who it favors. Who has a good shot at actually winning based on the golf course?
First of all, Royal Portrush is one of the greatest golf courses in the world. In an area of the world in Ireland and Northern Ireland where there are so many great golf courses, it is widely accepted that Royal Portrush is the best of those. It's one of the top 10 courses in the world by every measure all around the planet. Portrush demands shot making. You cannot sneak by with less than absolutely precise shot making all week long at Portrush. Portrush just simply is unforgiving. And it has a couple of characteristics in the design of the course, in addition to its location on the very northern tip of Northern Ireland and looking out into the ocean there. The course is perched on cliffs that overlook the ocean, and so it's exposed to all kinds of weather, North Sea weather there. But the course is carved out of sand dunes, And so the holes generally snake among the bigger of the dunes. The greens tend to be built on what were smaller dunes, which means they are crowned with a lot of false fronts and false sides. That is one of the real defining characteristics of Portrush, is all the false slopes on the greens, and then it no three holes on the routing of the course will have the same wind profile. No three holes in a row face in the same direction. So you simply must be able to move the ball right to left, left to right, keep it low, play it high. You have to have control of your golf ball. You asked who it favors. It favors exquisite shot makers who can be an exquisite shot maker all 4 days.
So when you say that the wind blows different directions, does that slow play down a little bit, because you're constantly trying to figure out, okay, where is the wind blowing on this hole? How big of an impact does that play on the pace of play in this championship?
Yeah, well, it isn't that the wind is blowing different directions. It's that the course doesn't follow a directional pattern. The holes are moving all over the place, and so they are going into or with or against or sideways to the wind. Hole after hole is a bit different layout. But what a good question about how does it affect pace of play. It really puts a demand on the player and the caddy both together to plan their shots well. And part of the thing is exposure to the wind sometimes, because the holes follow the valleys between dunes, sometimes the players are protected from the wind and the ball gets up in the air above the profile of the dune, and you realize, oh my, it's cutting from a different direction, or stronger than I thought, or less than I thought, and you're done.
Speaking of your caddy and the importance of your caddy, Harrison English, his caddy was not allowed to enter the United Kingdom. Are you familiar with this story?
Oh, generally, yes.
He was a drug dealer about 20 years ago, apparently, and smuggled drugs into, I think, anyways, he was convicted, and so he's a convicted felon, and kind of got his life turned around, and really it was about being a caddy, which really kind of changed everything. They've sent letters, the last I heard, to everyone. Is there any, and even the Royal and Ancient actually sent a letter to the British government. I actually, shockingly maybe, passed my visa because I was just over in England actually a couple of weeks ago, and I had to file, and it took me all of 5 minutes. It wasn't a hard procedure, but they don't know about my past, so I snuck through. But has anything changed in this? And what kind of, if his caddy's not there, what does he have a legitimate shot at winning, or does he really need his guy on the bag in order to have a chance?
This is a really interesting little drama that's unfolding here. First of all, I sure believe in second chances, and it looks to me like this guy's turned his life around. But who am I to cast judgment on the laws and procedures of another country? The thing about this that's funny to me is this is no surprise. This event has been on the schedule for 6 years. Yeah. There's been time to deal with outstanding questions on this particular item. The part that surprises me is that it's happening now and not last year or 2 years ago. Anyway, no, I haven't heard anything in the last couple of days about how it all works out. There are local caddies available who will know the course. What they won't know is Harris English's game.
Right.
And so it's the kind of thing that very definitely would have an impact and be an issue.
So when I went to Scotland to play golf, you would you go to a new course every day, and there'd be a caddy there, and you just had a new one. And we were playing at Prestwick, which is where they had, I think, the first six opens. And
yes.
And my caddy wouldn't speak to me like for the first, 5 or 6 holes, and I'm like, did I offend you in some way? And he said, no, when you showed up today, I bet against you. And so you're playing too good. And so and I said, look, I'll give you extra money. Just give me some tips here. And anyways, but so I wonder if Harris English's caddy he gets, if he'll bet for him or against him. Who knows? We'll have to see.
Yeah, really.
There's a couple of interesting things that recently showed up, and they're not necessarily, they kind of do relate to the Open Championship, but one is about the Ryder Cup. But Scotty Scheffler came out yesterday, and he had these comments. I talked about it on Sean's show yesterday about, winning is not a satisfying part of golf. Like, I don't find satisfaction or accomplishment in actually winning. And he said there's other things that are much more important and deeper in my heart. He goes, what happens is you win, and then it's like on to next week, And he says, so it's really hard to put a lot of stock and value into winning. He says, I'm very competitive. I want to win every week. I want to win the Open Championship. I go to the Masters. I want to win it every year. I love to practice. I love the preparation. He says, but I just don't find a lot of satisfaction in actually winning. I don't know if you followed this at all, but I'd be curious to get your takes on maybe his perspective on, here's the best player in the world, and he's like, winning's kind of whatever.
I am following it, and it actually doesn't surprise me much. He has said for years that what he loves is the pursuit. He loves the grind. He loves the practice and the preparation and the search for perfection is too big of a word, but the search for constant excellence, which is so elusive at the very top levels of every sport, but golf especially, and for the primary reason that golf does not allow specialization. Most every other sport not only allows but requires people to specialize in certain skill sets. You were a great thrower of the football,
right, and
you did not ask your linemen to do that. And conversely, they didn't ask you to stop the big bad dudes.
Right.
But in golf, you have to do everything. So the pursuit of sustained excellence is so elusive. And that actual chase is what really drives a lot of the top performers. I've heard Tiger Woods speak in similar terms, not saying that winning isn't satisfying, but about how the great joy is found in pursuit. I've heard Jack Nicklaus talk about it. Scotty seems to have taken it to the next step for him to say, and then you win, and you go, what? That's it? And we're teeing it up next week. And he's what he's talking about is coming to realize that it really is the pursuit where the joy is found.
Yeah, he mentioned, he goes, it's a curse to feel this way, but it's also a blessing in that I can finish last, I can have a terrible week, and then it's like, okay, now on to next week, and you have an opportunity to turn that around. And I know in my time in professional sports, that was the hard part about the fact that you only played once a week. At least for me, golf, they get 4 rounds in a week. There's a lot of opportunity, and so you're just beating yourself up over, the loss, or if you played poorly, and you just can't wait for the opportunity to get back on the field. And, these baseball players, the hockey players, basketball players, they're every other night, to a new game. And so, which would probably drive me nuts because, they lose so many games in a season, and, in the NFL, it's just like every event is so important. And I think that's to some degree how it is in golf because, these guys play 18 events a year, somewhere around there, 18, 20-ish events, and
mid. Most of the top players are played mid-20. There's 43 events on the schedule, and they'll get into the mid-20s, low 20s to mid-20s.
Yeah, I just found his comments fascinating, and this from the one in the at the very top. But I understand that whole process. I loved practice. I loved the grind. I loved the whole part of it. I get it. And it's a fun thing. I think it's one of the things I probably miss most is just that going to practice every day, being in that locker. It's just really special.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another thing that came out as well, and this is Xander Schauffele's father. It looks like Xander's going to be in the he's automatically set up to be on the Ryder Cup team as it stands today. Probably be there at the end of the day. But his dad says, I'm not showing up to that event. He goes, it's gotten so hostile in the crowd, and he goes, I can only imagine Beth Page Black, New York, with the New York kind of attitude. You can't imagine the things that are coming out of these players' mouths, and or not the players, but the participants, and it's gotten a little chippy, I think, with the players as well. Is that a real thing, or is it a little bit overblown that his dad would actually not attend the event? Because I think I'd love the Ryder Cup and love to go witness it, and I guess I was a little shocked by his comments.
Yeah, the part about it that shocked me, first of all, his analysis is not wrong. It has got chippy, and the crowds are raucous, and it's taken on an attitude, a persona similar to what you see in British soccer, where there's just such animus from one team's supporters to the other. And then you throw in there the New York City stuff at Beth Page Black, and it's got high potential to be a real uncool environment for some people, and especially the people closest to it. The part about what Stefan Schauffele was saying that was surprising to me is he's in a privileged position. He gets access to places where he can protect himself and get away from it. But still, the basic analysis I don't disagree with, and it does raise the question and raise the issue of, okay, come on, folks, this is a sporting event. And the reality is we don't hate these European Tour players. We just want to beat them this one event every 2 years. But Xander Schauffele is currently number 2 in the Ryder Cup points list, and he seems to be crawling back from his rib injury, although he hasn't performed very well. He accumulated most of his points prior to the rib injury, and of course those came last year when he won 2 majors. But you can, unless he withdraws because of the rib injury, he will be there, and so it'll be interesting to see if his dad actually goes.
Yeah. I still think I would go. It's the Ryder Cup. Come on.
I would go. Heck yeah, I'll go.
All right. Just one last question before I let you go here. The weather. It's always a factor over there, more so I think than most regular PGA Tour events. What is it scheduled to be like and forecast to be like, and what can we expect?
Yeah, you can expect it to change. You can expect every kind of weather that you can think of to happen, and you can expect it to be very, very quick, going from one kind of weather to the next. That's the nature of that part of the world. There was a really interesting little 15 minutes that went on yesterday, maybe the day before, on a Golf Channel episode on Live From, where there was a dangerous weather warning, and the RNA moved people off the course, and then 15 minutes later they cut to Johnson Wagner, and he's out there and it's sunshine. That's the nature of what you'll find at Royal Portrush. You have to go there prepared for everything, because it could happen the same day, and it can turn around very, very quickly.
Well, I know I'll be tuned in, whatever it might be, and whoever shows up, whoever participates, I will be there. Really appreciate your time, Paul, and always insightful and always enjoyable. Hope you have a nice rest of your day, and thanks for your insight in the conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Scott.
All right, there you have it. Paul Pugmire, Utah Golf Radio, every Saturday, 8 to 10. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. Hump day. The little engine did it. He got over the top of the hill, and boom, we're flying into the weekend here. We've done it. We've gotten over the hump day. Utah County listeners, can you help children at the road home? Start school in style. Stop by the Advocates in American Fork, pick up an apple from the tree, and you can supply clothing and backpack for a child at the road home. Every child deserves an advocate. Stop by today. See ESPN700sports.com for more details. Come on, Utah County, get with it. Go help these kids out. They could really use it. It's amazing what happens at the road home. These kids, I can tell you. You will be doing a great service, and they need it, so do it. Apparently, at Big 12 Media Day, we have another roundtable with some of the top coaches. It's so fun to hear their perspective and hear them talk interactive and together. We're going to go out to that right now. Of course, I believe we have Kalani Sitake. We have Kenny Dillingham, and I think Dave Aranda, so this should be very interesting.
All right, good afternoon. Media Days continues here in Frisco, Texas. I'm Matt Berry from ESPN with the 8 coaches representing their schools today. I've already talked to all of you on TV, so this shouldn't be too difficult. And I want to start and kind of frame the conversation like this. And Coach Frost, I'm going to start with you. As the newcomer to the Big 12 this year, you've had an opportunity to watch this league from afar. How would you describe the competitive balance of the Big 12?
Yeah, I mentioned that talking to you, just the watching from the outside. This is the one league where I feel like there's so many good schools in this league, and everybody plays well, but you can make an argument anybody in this league could win the league if they do things the right way. I think that makes for a competitive league that's a lot of fun to play in, coach in, and watch.
Yeah, Coach Campbell, we were talking about that this morning as well. We could list, all 8 schools represented here today could win this conference. When you have a conference that deep, with that much talent, and so many teams that can win it, how does that speak to the health of this league nationally with the other Power Fours?
Yeah, I just think it makes it really special. I think you look at the coaching staffs up here, you see the players that came with each of these staffs, and you got 8 great teams coming tomorrow. I think top to bottom, you tune into a Big 12 game on a Saturday, it's going to be a really great experience, and I think it's a credit to the coaches up here and what they've built. Tune into a Big 12 game on a Saturday, it's going to be a really great experience, and I think it's a credit to the coaches up here and what they've built, and the coaches coming tomorrow and what they've built.
Kenny, college football is in an era completely different than 2-3 years ago. It seems like it's changing every minute. As the conference champion from a year ago and where you sit now, what do you want to see happen, not only in this conference, but in college football big picture, to ensure the health of it moving forward?
Yeah, just to create some standards, whatever it is. I don't think anybody cares what the rules are. They just want to know the rules, right? Tell us where the sandbox is and we'll play in it. At the end of the day, this is a game. I know this is a business. I know it's a profession to everybody, but if anybody who's not in this, to see a kid go from an 18-year-old kid to a 22-year-old man and enter the real world is in it for the wrong reasons. So I think people always focus on the negative and the changing of college football. The reality is we get to impact a lot of young people every single day, and we should do it with every single power that we have in our body to help these kids achieve success in life.
And when you mention rules, does that include knowing what targeting looks like, or is that a whole...
No. Okay. I've heard more positive things about losing in my entire life. That we lost the football game, unfortunately. There's no excuses. If I have better scheme on 4th down, nobody talks about targeting.
Coach Aranda, similar question in college football. We need to put the smart people in a room to get this thing figured out. What do you want to see out of the sport now moving forward?
Well, just now that we're in revenue share mode, just the enforcement, I think, is going to be the strongest thing. I think if there's rules, that everyone's following the rules, I know it would help the programs that are represented here. If everyone's playing by those rules, and if there's people that are not, and they're trying to get this advantage or that advantage and try to go around the system, that there's some type of repercussions for that. I think that would be way helpful for us to move the game forward.
Coach Satterfield?
Yeah, I agree. I think certainly to echo off what both of the coaches said there, having some boundaries about what we have to do and what we can't do. I think sometimes, we sit here and talking like we're in the profession and we don't even know the rules. I mean, It's difficult, and it's ever changing. And there's not anything that's been very stable over the last since 2020. Mm-hmm. The things have changed so much and so fast. So hopefully we can, garner this and set some boundaries, some rules, and then there are going to be some, ramifications if someone does break the rules.
Yeah, Coach Kleiman, from your seat, when you look at the challenges that's presented, I mean, really with everyone, there's schools that don't have the same issues as others, but what do you think would fix and keep the sport and make it healthy?
Yeah, I think these guys have hit it on the head. We all want to play by a set of rules, whatever those rules are. The other thing I think that would, in between the lines, help our game, and we as a coaching staff decided this in May, we didn't do a coaches poll this year, and the narrative really hurt the Big 12 last year. It hurt it with Kalani, and it hurt it with Kenny for a while, and I'd like to see the first polls come out when the CFP comes out, because then you've got 7 or 8 games rather than this team's supposed to be good, we'll keep them up there, and all of a sudden they start off 1-3 and they're still ranked 15th, and somebody like Kenny could be 4-0 and not even in the ballpark. We've got to change that narrative and give everybody a level playing field now that we're in a revenue sharing era.
Coach McGuire.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then Kalani brought it up. I mean, let's decide it on the field. If we're sitting here talking about the playoffs, if you win the conference champion, you should be in the playoff. And then it's one of the deals, I know you said it a couple years ago, to where we all of a sudden now have cross-conference games that we're playing each other. I think that'd be a great way to do it. I saw Brian Kelly say he'd love to play a Big 10 team. Hey, man, I would love to play LSU, home and home series, and whoever plays that, then, we look at the rankings and everything like that.
Coach?
Yeah, I think we got 3 non-conference games, and so why don't we just play the other 3 conferences for the 3 non-conference games? Pretty simple. And to echo what all the men have said up here, the game of college football will be even better the more you include coaches in the rules and in making the legislation. All that stuff needs to include more coaches, because these men have done a great job of protecting the game of football altogether. And the one thing I do love about all of them is that they do care about the student athletes, and they're focused on getting them their degree. And so the character of the men in the coaching staff in this conference are amazing. So with overall, Big 12 conference is a great conference. Back to the question, I'm all about playing the game on the field. So let's, with the flexibility, let's try to figure out a way to get that done.
And is that an agreement amongst all of you, and that we're in a spot where we kind of don't know the criteria of getting to the college football playoff, other than we know if you win your conference, you get an automatic bid, and then there's the at-large bids. Is there something that you believe when you look at some of the other ideas being pitched around, the 5 and 11? You heard Brett Yormark talk about that today. Is that the best for college football in addition to this league?
I think it is right now. I'm on a couple of committees, and I think it is definitely right now until we can get uniformity in scheduling. You can't have some leagues playing 9 conference games and some leagues playing 8 conference games. So we've got to get on the same page there, and if we can do that, I still think if you have the 5 AQs and have 11 at-large teams, you go back to what these guys say, then you have some head-to-head matchups. And those head-to-head matchups, P4 versus P4 is going to matter.
Let me ask you this, Coach Frost. You were in the NFL a year ago. I mean, that's a professional sports league. That's the professional level of football. College seems to be trending that way. Is there anything that concerns you about where you believe the sport is headed?
Yeah, I think there's things that concern a lot of us. Coach talked about the fairness right now, and Coach talked about wanting things to be decided on the field. At least in the NFL, you know what the rules are, you know what the salary cap is. Right now, at the end of the day, things are decided on the field, but way before that, they're decided in bank accounts. And that needs to be leveled out. Like Coach said, if there's some enforcement and everybody's playing by the same rules, I think it's a better game. It's a sad state of affairs in college football if he who has the richest boosters wins, and I don't think that's where anybody wants it or where it was intended to be.
Coach Campbell and Satak, you've been at both your programs now for 10 years, kind of the dean of the coaches here on set in this league. How have you seen the Big 12? I mean, it was a few years ago, and we're sitting here thinking the Big 12 could be in trouble when Oklahoma and Texas departed to the SEC. There seemed to be expansion and realignment every 3 days. But in your 10 years, how have you seen the Big 12 position itself to where we are today?
Well, I think some foresight a little bit on, even though those rocky times have come, the foresight to be aggressive in adding the right teams into this conference. And I think, the additions that we made over the last 4 to 5 years have helped us steady the ship during a really rocky time. And not even just the quality of football program, but the quality of universities that have come into the Big 12 over the last 3 years. I think not only has it added great value in football, but it's also added great value in terms of the integrity of the Big 12 right now.
I think the level of leadership we're seeing from the Big 12, specifically from Commissioner Yormark, has been amazing. The innovation and creativity. So it fits along with what we're trying to get done on the field, and it's an easy thing for us to do. I mean, we're going into our 3rd year in the conference, but it's what our fans base have been waiting for this entire time, and I feel like we've been here the entire time, and we're loving it. So we're honored to be in this position and to be partnered up with such great coaches and universities, and we're excited about the season.
In a candid roundtable, and maybe you were asked this question this morning, maybe you weren't, but I want each of you to go down the line, and Kenny, we'll start with you. With where we are now in player movement, what candid conversations do you need to have with a player who might consider leaving or who might try to do something else? What conversations are you having with your players now that you weren't having 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, to be honest, not a lot. We returned almost everybody. Not many people wanted to leave the program. I think if you pour into people, they feel obligated to pour back into you. So I think our program's built on retention, not acquisition. I don't want to win recruiting rankings. I don't want to win social media. I don't want to be the #1 team in the recruiting. I want to be #1 in retention. I want our players to know if you come to our school, we are going to take care of you. Mm-hmm. That's it. So what conversation do I have? If you come here, I'm going to take care of you. That's it. And that's the conversation we have, but we don't have much movement unless somebody is a senior, junior, and wants to start, and he's maybe 2nd or 3rd on the depth chart. And I say, listen, you're not going to start for us. We have a guy returning. If you want to play college football, let me help you. Get you to Memphis, where a guy I worked with is the head coach. We had 2 guys in our 2 deep leave. Both of them went to go play for people I coached with that I consider mentors, Florida State and Memphis. I helped them get there.
Coach Aranda.
I thought the first portal window of this past year, I felt like, hey, we've got some opportunities for guys to come in and contribute, and I felt that throughout. Just everyone was kind of in, hey, we're kind of the hunter mode. We're trying to fill some spots. We're losing guys are declaring, or guys are stepping away from football, whatever it may be. I thought in the second portal window, I felt very much like we were the hunted. There's so many of our players that were coming to me or to us and saying, hey, that there's this much money being offered to me, and I'm going to go. They're talking about me going to this league or that league, and it was a consistent thing just about every day. And so to be able to kind of get through that, I think we had one departure. I think speaks to what was just spoke about. I think that you have to have relationships, and it has to be bigger than football, because when the times get tough and the storms come and everyone up here has been through all of that, it's the people are the only thing that are left.
Yeah.
And they're the only thing that are real. When all that stuff happens, the money that you're making doesn't even enter the equation. And so I think to have it where it's relationships and it's truth telling and it's transparency, and I think the people can feel when it's just transactions that are happening.
Coach Frost?
I agree with everything they said, but there's a limit to everything. If some other network offered you 4 times as much to go work for them,
I'm out. Sorry, ESPN. See ya.
Exactly, and that's where if we know what the limit everybody can spend and everybody's working with the same resources, I think you'll see a lot less transferring and a lot less movement, and that'll be good for not just college football, but for the young men themselves.
Coach Satterfield?
Yeah, very similar. I think obviously we want to retain our best players and the players that are doing the right things, but I do think honesty comes into play. I do think the way you treat your guys, hold them accountable, be disciplined with them, But be honest with them. And, the players that have left are guys that want to start, second, third year guys that want to go play somewhere and start. And I think that's what you want. That's a healthy program, in my opinion. But it's mainly taking care of your guys that have, done all the things that correctly for your program.
And Coach Aranda said something interesting, Coach Gamble, about the portal window. It seems to me that opens a lot for interpretation for getting your roster set, allowing these players to leave. I think it's absolutely insane that there was a team in the college football playoff that their backup quarterback hopped in the portal to get there in time for the new semester. What needs to happen in these portal windows to make it uniform to where we're not having players leave during the playoff or during big bowl games?
Yeah, and I know Chris is on these committees that works really hard to kind of, help coaches and help programs kind of align the calendar the correct way. And I think we've talked about this as a Big 12 coaches. Obviously, you'd love to have one portal window. I think every coach in America would want that. I think the reality becomes is our ability to get this calendar right. I don't think it's fair for college student athletes. I think Notre Dame and Ohio State, both their players played in the championship game, and Ohio State's already 3 weeks into the second semester. Notre Dame flies home, and their kids are going right back to campus. I think the reality of getting our calendar correct, helping one calendar window, finding at the right time for the transfer portal to be open, probably some point in January, and then helping us have that opportunity then to build our football teams from there. So I think we still have a lot of work to do in college football, get the calendar right in terms of the season, get the aligning the player acquisition correct for everybody involved, and then getting the time to prepare our teams to get ready to play. And getting those three things right, I think, is critical for college football to be successful.
Coach Kleiman, since you are in on those committees, what's the biggest prevailing question, concern that I think comes up of some of the things we've talked about up here?
I think the number one thing, and Matt said it, we have to have one portal window. We have to have only one portal window. We got to find the right time for it. There's a lot of arguments on when that right time is, but there's got to be just one portal window, and it's got to be built around the entire calendar. And whenever that portal window is, and unfortunately we're not going to decide that, it's going to be other people, but when that is decided, we're going to try to open up a calendar so that you're not locked into spring ball. Spring ball needs to be OTAs. And if I've got everybody back and I want to do everything in March and April for 15 practices or 20 practices, let me have it. If Joey loses a bunch of guys, he gets all his guys in whenever that portal win is, May or June, and he wants to do those things in June, let them do that. We're all smart enough here. We're not going to go bang heads and go full padded practices in the month of June. But that's something we don't get right now, is on-field practicing of coaching in the summer, and we think it needs to change. And that's something that's part of the portal window. We just need to have more of us coaches involved on these committees.
Coach McGuire?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think whenever you start asking, I haven't been in college football as long as these guys have, and you start asking, well, who came up with this rule? And you go, well, you have this one coach on this one subcommittee, and you call him, and he's got one vote, and everything else is administrators or anything like that aren't operating in this daily world that we operate. And so I think that's really important that we have more of a voice. And then with that, again, like somebody asked me today, who knew that the national letter of intent, whenever you sign that, didn't mean anything anymore? Like, we need to have rules that are enforced, but we also need to have real contracts that have teeth in them to where you can sign a kid and have a multi-year contract and they're feel good about that. Like, there has to be the blanket rules that are enforced. And I think if coaches are more involved in that, then you're going to have something that you can operate, because that's the world that we live in every day.
When it's all said and done, they're still amateurs. It's an amateur sport. I know rev share. There's some things that we're doing that it's a professional model, but there's still young people that are growing to become adults.
Yeah.
And the focus of the development is academic, not just only football. Getting the degree is a key, but also allowing them to develop. And I think sometimes when money enters, they're forced to grow up a lot faster than what they're ready for.
Yeah, look, and it's going to be an ongoing conversation, and we need to get the adults in the room that are there day to day to get it fixed, to get the sport we all know and love back to health. I think you guys done with media. What's next for you? Your breakout sessions? What do you have? You all look thrilled to do it. I can't wait. Gentlemen, thank you for your honesty in the roundtable today. It's been a pleasure talking with each of you on ESPN, and we'll do this again tomorrow with the 8 representing coaches tomorrow afternoon.
All right, there you have it. Fascinating roundtable with half of the head coaches from the Big 12. It's just the whole thing about no one knows the rules. I mean, how insane is that to have a sports league, to have a sport, and you don't know what the rules are? Some great ideas, though, and I agree with Kalani in saying they should listen more to these coaches when they're developing all of these issues. And you have the Big 12, and you got these coaches saying, "Look, we want 9 conference games. We want our non-conference games to be against the other Power 4 conference opponents," which I think is an awesome idea. Not having a poll come out until week 7 or when the college football playoff polls come out. It just all makes sense. And the Big Ten, the SEC are gaming the system. All right, they are. They're gaming the system in their favor. And when you hear common sense and you hear something that's really good for all of college football, and you hear the SEC poo-pooing it, then you start to see the spots on the leopard. Its spots do not change, and so they're all about controlling and driving the narrative as opposed to what's best for college football.
Yeah,
and so fascinating to hear these coaches and what they have to say, and you get a little insight into why they're so good. And just listening to Kenny Dillingham, you can just see why he's been successful at Arizona State and where he was before at Oregon.
Yeah, back to what you said about SEC, Big Ten gaming the system. They don't care. They have no interest in what's best for all of college football. No. They have interest in what's best for the SEC. If they're Greg Sankey and the SEC presidents and head coaches and everybody there, Big Ten, they have their best interest is the best interest for the Big Ten, not for all of college football. And I think these coaches they didn't talk about that the other conferences, but these coaches talked in a way that they want what's best for college football in the Big 12.
Absolutely.
It's just too bad that the 2 conferences that are the most powerful, the voices that are most powerful, don't seem to agree on that.
Yeah, I'm telling you got to sue them. Sue them into submission. That's how you get it even.
There
All
you
right,
go.
Let's take a break. We'll come back for topical trivia right around the corner. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell. We'll see you in a minute. All righty, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792 on FM. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in for Sean today. Had just a fun 3 days. Really enjoyed all of this. The conversations have been plentiful, insightful, and just a lot of fun having conversations about all the sports that we love. Do a little topical trivia here. Of course, you're going to win 4 tickets to the Athletes Unlimited softball game Saturday at Dumke Family Stadium. So here is the question. It's from something that happened earlier in the show. So I was on the show with Amy Hogue, who is the women's head softball coach at the University of Utah, having a great conversation. And she said that, tell me what the body part is that's not fully developed in young college athletes. That is a trivia question. Text it in 877-353-0700. Hey, let's keep it clean out there, all right? Joining us on the program right now is Spence Checketts. Of course, the Drive with Spence Checketts is coming up in a minute. I did something today, Spence. I wanted to get your take on this if you've ever done this.
Oh, dear.
So I was talking to Amy, and I told her, hey, we're going to be up there tomorrow. You know, it'll be a really fun day.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, well, you should come to batting practice.
Okay.
So I go, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to batting practice tomorrow.
Okay.
And here's the question. In the moment, you know, I was all caught up in, you know, thinking I'm a young athlete again. You know, I'm 57 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't swung a bat in a long, long time. And at the beginning, it sounded like a really good idea. And as I've gone through the show, I'm like, did I get into something that I probably shouldn't have gotten into? Because ultimately, I'm probably going to embarrass myself. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen tomorrow. And so the question is, have you ever committed to something and got into something that you regretted doing and wished you would have maybe not chose to do that? And you got caught up in the moment. You got talked into something you wished you hadn't.
Yeah, just officiated a wedding over the weekend.
Oh, hey, that's right.
I mean, it went fine. It went fine. But hold on a second. Don't you have some knee issues that get in the way of you swinging a golf ball?
Oh, it's going to be horrendous.
Dude, have you ever seen those girls throw a softball?
I know.
Are screwed.
I didn't think of that one. I was like, that's softball. Yes, of
No,
course I'll do this.
no.
I know.
You might have to mandate that they just lob it over home plate as opposed to try to strike you out. Those girls can throw it fast, man.
I know.
And they put spin on it. Like, it's not as easy as it looks.
See,
at all.
that's what I want to see. I want to see the movement on. You know, it's like it's. And I'm like, could we go slope? She's not going to go slope.
Oh, dude, James, can we get a camera crew following Scott up at batting practice with the Utah softball team?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
We're going to have plenty of people from promotions
Yeah.
department.
Okay.
Our guy Spencer. I think I'm going to have him follow him and keep his phone on him so we can put that on.
Well, we need a document. This is not going to go well for you.
No, it's not. And I'm okay. I get you get to a point in your life when you're like, yeah, I've had everything happen to me, so you don't care. Like you can laugh you can laugh at yourself, and so I know it's going to be bad. But as I've been sitting here, I'm just like, what did I get myself into?
No, it's a good quality to be a little self-effacing and laugh at yourself a little bit. There's nothing worse than somebody that takes themselves too seriously. Right. But you're screwed. Let's be honest. If they bring the heat,
I know.
If you step up and the Utah softball pitchers and whoever's there is actually trying to strike you out,
right? It's
different if it's like a beer gut softball league that you're playing with your bros from the company.
Right.
Did you ever play? I would imagine you played in softball leagues once upon a time.
I played with the Utah Jazz when I was at the U.
Oh, that's right. You told me that when I joined you to talk about Frank. Yeah,
lot of fun. And Bart Kofod. He was a heck of a. He went to Kearney State, I think. Or
Bart Kofod,
yes,
is part of one of the whoever writes the comprehensive history of the Utah Jazz. Do you know the Bart Kofod? Oh man, hold on a second. I can't believe I'm forgetting Bobby Hansen. Do you know the Bart Kofod Bobby Hansen story?
I do not. I
wonder if I should tell this. I wonder if I'm allowed to even talk about this story because really not very many people know.
Well, then I think you should.
It's one of the very few things. It's like when Darren Williams and I can't remember the big kid who got arrested in Park City and gave the cops the wrong name back in the day. The Jazz have had very few public incidents surrounding athletes or coaches.
Right.
But they've had a few excuse me, they've had a few that no one really knows about because this is a small town. And
of course.
A cop calls, the general manager of the team. The cop calls Frank Layden and says, I got a player here. What do you want me to do? He's like, okay, I'll come down and grab him. Don't tell anybody. I believe it was a New Year's Eve party. And the only reason I know this is because my father at the time was the president of the team. And I wake up New Year's Day, and Bobby Hansen is sitting in our front room with a black eye.
Oh.
His eye is like blown. I mean, somebody had cold-cocked him hard.
Yeah, wow.
And it turns out at a New Year's Eve party, like Bobby Hansen and Bart Kofed were arguing over a woman that they both wanted to date. They lived or something like that. And Bart Kofed cracked him.
Oh.
And nearly broke his jaw.
Wow.
Now, Bobby was a better player, so that's why they released Bart.
Right.
They let him go after that.
Yeah.
So it was like a Jazz New Year's Eve party, and Bart Kofed nearly broke Bobby Hansen's jaw over a woman.
It doesn't surprise me.
You probably have stories like athletes wanting to date the same woman or what have you.
Well,
Jersey Chasers.
I think the worst one was when, because you get tickets for the games and all of the families sit together.
Right. Yeah.
So apparently this one of the players had a girlfriend and a wife and got their tickets and sat them together.
What kind of idiot would do that? Who's the player?
Yeah, I can't say who.
No, I just told a story about Bart Kofed and Bobby Hansen.
I'm trying to remember.
He's not listening, Scott.
No, he's not. I'm trying. It was a linebacker.
Was this in Detroit?
It was in Detroit.
Okay,
yeah. I can't remember who it was.
Don't sit them together.
No, and what happened is the equipment manager said, "Hey, your wife and your girlfriend are waiting outside the locker room
together.
You might want to go out the back door."
I will tell you what. I was a ball boy at Madison Square Garden for 2 years, and then I was an intern for the Jazz, and got to know the ball boys pretty well.
Yeah.
The ball boys know everything.
Right.
Because the players will use the ball boys to send messages, especially back in the day before like cell phones and texting and social media.
Yeah.
Like the head ball boy, and I think he's still the head trainer of the Knicks. His name is Mike Martinez. Great dude. I believe he's like the only holdover from the 90s. Oh, you know what? He actually left 2 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
But, no, I mean, he had like a 25-year run.
Yeah.
But Mike was the head ball boy. And so Mike had all these relationships with like Ewing and Starks and Mason and Oakley and that whole crew. And he was constantly running hotel keys wrapped in notes into the stands. A player would see a woman in the stands and call Mike over and hand a note like, hey, I'll be at the Ritz tonight, room 347, show up or whatever. If you want to really know the down and dirty with Scott Mitchell every day for an hour, if you really want to know what goes down behind the scenes, the ball boys
know
it all. They know it all.
It's like the team checks into a hotel and the player that they go, how many keys do you need?
7.
I need 7. We're going to be here a couple of nights.
and now with like social media and the ability to send DMs or whatever, it's different. I think it was Wickerstram did a really interesting piece a couple of years ago about the Tinderification of the NBA. How, NBA, and I saw this firsthand because for 7 years I did pre-F and post for the Jazz.
Right.
So I was doing their post-game coverage. And almost inevitably I'd be with Britton Johnson, Spencer Nelson, the guys that I used to do the show with. And we looked down. I remember one night the Warriors were in town. And after the game, Klay Thompson. So after the game, there are like 4 just beautiful girls, just dimes.
Right.
Just kind of sitting there after the game, hanging out. And we're like, wait, what's going on here? All of a sudden, Klay Thompson walks out back from the locker room, and all 4 of them follow him back into the locker room. So now the players, they can cut out the middleman because they have the ability to, hit up these girls as they're traveling into town.
Yeah. I had a buddy who was actually, I think his front desk manager at the Marriott that was across the street from the Salt Palace.
Okay.
And he knew all the stories.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
What you got on the show today?
More of this.
Oh, I love this.
More
yes.
gossiping about player hookups. We are going to bring in Andy Larson today. The Jazz have a summer league game tonight, kind of.
Yeah.
No Ace Bailey, no Walt Clayton Jr. They just shut down Kyle Filipowski. Set your alarms for 3 o'clock because live in studio for an entire hour is Trevor Riley.
Oh.
And when that happens, no clue where we'll go. Zero idea.
I think you should go with this conversation.
Trevor will, and the great thing about Trevor is he'll just tell us everything. Trevor has a new gig. I'll let him tell us about it.
Good.
But he's going to hang out for an hour. RSL is in Portland tonight. It's taking on the Timbers at Providence Park. Jason Christ stops by. Then we'll do a little more NBA with Zach Harper. So bounce around a little bit today.
Love it. All right. A great conversation. Yep. This show is over. So thank you for tuning in. This has been the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792 on FM. I'm Scott Mitchell. Until then, we'll see you then.